I always wanted to share that with you, riding on the back of a Harley. Thanks again for joining us. I'm Tom Lamog with the Guitars for Vets Cyber Chapter and with Cav Arts, the Challenge American Veteran Arts Community, hosting session two of our four sessions focusing on lyric writing. As we did last week, we've set up a 90-minute workshop to be a collaborative one as you pursue your quest in becoming a songwriter. We'll be making several references to the course guide and the video presentation by Andrea Stolpe, which is available through the G4V Learning Center. And I'd like to also encourage you to share some of the coursework with the other attendees here to contribute to the conversation. I know you picked up a lot of information and a lot of you have been sharing stuff online. Hopefully, we can share some of that material to inspire some of the others that are on this particular podcast. So we also have a couple of wonderful guests, experienced songwriters who have served in the U.S. military to bring their knowledge and experience to the conversation. But before we introduce them, right now, I would like to bring back Ken Busby, who you may remember as being a part of the introduction through our primer series on Monday nights. Ken, it's great to have you back. And how are you doing today? Are you ready for
Always great to be here, Tom.
wonderful?
God, last week was amazing, huh? Everybody's here that was here last week. What a great amount of information that got put out. The guests were phenomenal. Looking forward to Shannon and Derek today.
For sure. Yeah.
Always fun when Shannon books in the house.
Now I know, yeah, I know that for sure. We're gonna try it. We're gonna try and make sure that he has an opportunity, as well as Derek, to share not only their experience, but we're hoping to get some live music out of them as well too.
Oh
So
yeah,
they
absolutely.
brought their
Great
guitars.
musicians. I was with you a second ago. They were great.
Yeah.
But last week, going through and you know, it was amazing to see how everybody thought on their feet. You put out the challenge about a drink, and the lyrics that were coming out of that. I mean, I was amazed by it.
Yeah.
Because whenever we went through the initial class last week, lyrics seemed to be like a hard thing for everybody to grasp, but they really showed up and showed out last week with it. So I'm looking forward to seeing what everybody did with the homework and what they put out today.
Absolutely. Yeah. And
And yeah,
the thing too is that if everyone has access to the G4V Learning Center, I've posted a couple of polls and we're going to go through those polls here today. So, we're kind of up to date on all of the information that we pushed forth last week. And then we'll probably do the same thing, a couple more polls after today's conversation with Shannon and with Derek as well too. All right, Ken. Well, thank you so much. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to bring on our guests one at a time and introduce them to you. First of all, I should let you know that had we had Schaefer Mueller come join us, saying everything is great, but he had some other engagement that came up. So we wish him well, and we hope to see him at one of the future songwriter boot camps. But Derek, on the other hand, we originally invited Derek over, and Derek Thompson. Let's see, there he is from his studio. And not only is Derek going to be joining us this week, but he's also committed to sticking with us for the duration of the lyric writing series. Hey, Derek, how's it going?
Oh, it's pretty good. Just a busy day. I actually woke up early this morning on a weekend, which is just absurd for me.
Well,
So,
what's early to you?
like 7.
So, is it because you had to get to songwriting? Is that what it was? Is that
That's exact. No, I no. My if I don't wake up at 7, I've got a very loud German Shepherd puppy who will make sure it's known that I need to get up. So,
well, fantastic. I'm there with you. I think that would be my 5 o'clock my time. So better you than
yeah,
me.
right. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's see. Just to briefly, Derek, just something from Song Sung True. We did just a few months ago, really, like 3 months ago or so. We know you're a U.S. Marine Corps veteran. You served two tours in Afghanistan's Helmand province. After your military service, you went on to become a firefighter. 10 years fighting fire, saving lives. You were injured on the job. You also had a number of other things, which I'm sure we'll be talking about. But most importantly, regarding the music, there's a deep passion for music, and you're a country songwriter. So tell us a little bit about that.
I mean, it's mostly just the best way for me to get everything out. I've always, been historically terrible at, like, expressing emotions or dealing with and comprehending, like, how to get it out, and that always led to anger. I think for the better part of 32 years, is like the only way I knew how to really deal with anything was how I'd been taught. And that was yell, be mad, hit shit, which hasn't been productive at all.
Mhm.
So it was like 3 4 years ago, I finally just was like, "Yeah, I can't be mad anymore. I can't just yell at everything. It doesn't resolve anything. It doesn't fix anything." And that was about the same time when I really started diving into music, where I was like, "Yeah, this is more than just a side project. It's something I'm passionate about and I love doing." Then I actually started trying to, like, write music and put words together. And what I found as I was doing that was that this is cathartic and this is really therapy for me as well. Um, and it just started kind of taking all of that pain that I had carried with me for so long. It was just kind of washing that away, one lyric at a time, one song at a time, where I started seeing everything slowly start getting better. Is it perfect now? God, no, never will be. But it helps every day just to get a little bit better.
Man, thank you for sharing that insight for sure. I mean, a lot of our participants today needed to hear that because maybe you're not you, but the audience. Perhaps you're, turning away from that. But Derek's talking about embracing that and then just making that a part of, who he is in the writing and the songwriting and such. All right. Well, listen, I know you will be back here in a moment. I'm going to go ahead and bring on our other guest, and that would be Shannon Book. And Shannon, let's see here. Let me just bring you up on screen here and welcome you as well. Hello, my friend. Another song sung true. It's been too long, I think. It's been over a
You
year.
guys have no idea what he's authorized to happen in here today. Just so you know.
No, it's supposed to be serious and we're not going to
Sure.
exchange ideas or anything like that. But Jen has corrected me on that. He's like, no, we don't play by your rules, Tom. We play by mine.
Yeah, I play
Trust
by
me
my
if you
own
know.
rules. I mean, we can all play by our own rules, but I'm going to play by mine.
This guy, I have to tell you, there was one song, "Dear Mom," that he put out. If you've not seen his video, he was up for an award for that. So,
Got a couple of awards.
well, okay, but here's the one that just like blew me away. It's like I think that song opened up our Song Sung True episode, and that just rocked. It just rocked, and that's just a powerful message, not only lyrically, but also video wise. Um, I'm really proud of you for that one, Shannon, for what it's worth. It may not be much, but it
Oh,
was
it's worth
enough
a lot,
to.
brother. Thank you. I appreciate that. It means a lot to me.
I
Thanks,
would
sir.
like to I would like to also mention to the group that if you've not heard of Hero Stock, I want to read some stuff off the Hero Stock site about Shannon, but about specifically, did you know? Are you ready? Are you, so
Uh-oh.
you can you can
Uh-oh.
you can thank Hero Stock for this one. Shannon Book served 17 years in the U.S. Navy. Most of his time served with the Marines as a field corpsman and has multiple deployments, two being to Iraq during combat. Is that true so far?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Has
When I was
Dave
a
got it right?
Fallujah, the first two battles in Iraq, it was basically vacation time.
Oh my gosh. Okay, let me continue on because I know we're going to hear more about that in your writing. Shannon's a retired Navy corpsman that spent most of his enlistment with the Marines as a devil dog. To help relieve the stresses of combat and deployment felt by both him and others in his unit, Shannon would play guitar and sing during downtime, and most importantly, began to write his own music about he and his brothers felt about their experiences. Now, the key word here is felt, right? Music is not to, I mean, you can certainly think about music, but the one thing that I definitely get from yours and music by others is that feeling aspect. How important is injecting feeling into music for you, Shannon?
Man, that's a loaded question, Tom. So in the industry as it stands, like you can hear stuff and you'll listen to things, and a lot of songs kind of sometimes sound like they came out of a Cracker Jack box. And for those of you who don't know what Cracker Jacks are, that's a really good snack that you used to eat back in the 1900s. Um, but commercially, the emotion has to be there, but most of the time when it's commercial, it's false emotion. Um, But when it's personal, especially when I write stuff, everything I've written, I've lived. And when you start writing in commercial circles, then you start writing about your truck, your dog, your girlfriend who left, all these things that everybody wants to talk about because that's where they're hung up in their life. That's what makes it commercial because everybody can relate to it. But for me, as a therapy, my music is all emotional. There's nothing in my music that's not emotional. And when you hear me play it, I'm not even really here for the most part. Like what you see is the emotion that I'm feeling.
Mhm.
So when you ever watch me perform or watch me play anything on stage, I won't even be looking at you because in my head, I'm not even in my head. I'm above me watching me do what I do. So,
Quite a vantage point as
yeah.
well too from that. I can tell you one of the topics that we had from last week is really who your audience is when you're writing. And some of us may like that whole emotional aspect, getting drawn into a song and really listening to the lyrics. And there are others who are kind of like, I just want to dance, or maybe
Right,
I don't want to be told a story. I
right.
just want to feel good. So, I mean, I think that for what we were trying to drive, the point that we were trying to drive home last week was you need to know who your audience is. What are you striving for? And you got to be genuine about it.
Absolutely.
Genuinely, if you want to be a commercial writer, then go for it by all means.
Right. Well, let's think about this real quick. Like, and I'm not trying to take over the lesson, but let's think about that really quick. You're talking about people who like to dance versus people who like to hear stories. Let's go back to Bach, Beethoven, Tchaikovsky, all those guys. Those guys were telling stories just with melodies. Just with melodies.
Really? Yeah.
And they were telling stories. Like the Moonlight Sonata is about a walk down a riverfront in the moonlight. Like that's what the Moonlight Sonata is about.
Hmm.
And you can feel that when you hear it.
That's for
So
sure.
that in itself should tell you everything you need to know about music.
I just think of like a live symphony performing
Yeah.
the music from the composers and how moving. I mean, it's not thinking, it's feeling, right? Thank you for sharing your perspective. It's time to bring Derek back on here and get this show on the road here. So, let me first of all let everyone know what the objective of today's workshop is. We're going to run through chapters 4 through 7 in Andrea Stolp's Becoming a Songwriter Guide. So, we're going to make a number of references to that. We're going to definitely give you the opportunity to do some of the exercises live as our guests will be performing some of their music for us. There was some homework that we did, so get that ready. But before we do, let me do this. Let's get a little more. I want to get a little more familiar with your writing style. All right, Derek, I'm going to start with you first. When it comes to songwriting itself, is there a style that you have in mind? Like, do you draw from like country artists or just authors of books and articles or anything like that? But I'm just curious, what is your writing style? How would you
I think
describe that?
mostly autistic. You know what I mean?
Facts.
Like,
Is
Sorry.
that your appeal? Is that the appeal for your audience? Is that what you're saying?
yeah, man. No, it's kind of like a ADHD, and it's a lot of just trying to go off my personal experience, and then I never really know what I'm doing, honestly. So I just kind of wing it. Because I've never, like I said, I've never done like anything formal. I've never done formal training, and every time I think that I'm going to follow someone else's like guideline, I end up just doing the polar opposite of that anyway.
Mhm.
Because it's like, all right, well, that doesn't feel natural to me. But I sit there and then I start something, and then at that point, I'm so like OCD and focused. I have to get at least something finished in that.
Mhm.
That I'll sit here for 6 hours just being like, okay, well, I need to at least get this a chorus, so I know where the tone of this song's going. I need to get this figured out. And then once I figure that out, and I'm like, I'm just going to step away from it. And then I come back to it because my OCD doesn't let me just step away for very long. Every
Okay.
now and then, like on rare occasion, I can sit there, step away from it, be like, hey, I'll come back to this, readdress it tomorrow. But not very often. Usually it's
So,
just, yeah.
okay. So I guess what I'm hearing then is when you actually sit down to write, it's not that like you've got these influences in your mind. I want a little bit of this from Garth Brooks or a little bit of that, from Lee Greenwood or anything like that. Is it
No.
basically I'm just sitting down, these are my thoughts, this is what's happening. No
Yeah.
real.
Yeah. It's all thought. It's just like, okay, like I can go through my phone. I have notes where I'm like, hey, I want to put this into a song. I don't know how I'm going to do that yet, but here's the emotion or here's the
Yeah.
feeling that I want to go after.
Yeah.
And then after that, I'm just like, ooh, well, we'll figure this out as we
Cool.
go.
Right. Definitely innovative for sure. It's like, do you strive for something that maybe has never been heard before or written before or anything commercial or anything?
No, I'm not good enough at guitar yet to do that. So it's usually it's gonna be pretty basic. But that's why I'm excited. I finally got somebody to like help me with guitar more than what you guys have done. So it's fun to be able to like, hey, let me bounce this off you. Here's kind of what I have a thought for. But can you like make this more oomph,
Got
like
it.
sound better, a little bit
Say
more,
that one more time. Oomph. Is that what you said?
yeah, a little bit more oomph, you know,
Is that a
make it more
professional term?
exciting than what I can do, and then show me, and then it's kind of just a process of learning from him
Got
because
it.
I have to have hands on with it, or I just don't learn. So
Okay. There's a lot to unpack there. We'll get back to that. But Shannon, let me ask you, how would you describe your writing style?
Um, man, um, experimental mostly. I think that when I started writing, I kind of started writing when I was a teenager. And I didn't really write my first song until I was about 19, 20. But I did a lot of dabbling and learning, and because I started out playing music on a saxophone in fifth grade, and from there, like I took the saxophone as far as I could take it without being in an orchestra, because I didn't want to be in an orchestra, and I didn't want to play. I guess I didn't want to play scripted music. I wanted to. I spent most of my time working on my ear with the saxophone.
Mhm.
Because I would just listen to, the Lost Boys soundtrack or Kenny G, and I would try to play along with all that stuff with an alto, trying to compete with a soprano. But I started from there. My cousins used to play guitar, and so I wanted to learn how to play guitar. So
Mhm.
I had my cousin teach me how to play. The first song I ever learned how to play, and I've told Tom this, was More Than Words by Extreme. And today, still today, I can't play it and sing it. I can play it, I can sing it, but I can't play
You
it
can't do both.
and sing it because
Well,
I haven't taken that song across the blood-brain barrier. I don't know why.
oh my goodness.
But that's kind of so, and I do a lot of different open tunings and weird tunings and all kinds of stuff. I just experiment, and when I'm experimenting, and something hits me, I just take that muse and run with it. And when the muse is gone, I just get up and go do something else. I'll go fishing or shoot my bow, or I don't know, sit on the couch and play Call of Duty, whatever.
There you go. Well, let me move on to the next question. The writing process itself, since this is going to be the homework, this was the homework assignment. Do you have a process for songwriting? I mean, is it the same process or is it something that changes
Not.
every
It's
time?
not. My process is like, and it used to be very similar to Derek's. It was very Crayoleified, 8 crayons, blah blah blah, very simple. Let's just, take a white piece of paper and draw a box and color some things around it and do whatever we got to do. That's how it started. And then there was a lot of critique and people involved, and hey man, you should probably play something that's a little more upbeat. And I'm like, shut your mouth, this is my music, blah blah blah, and I got into that whole punk thing where you're like, you're not gonna sell out, man, we're not gonna sell out, you guys, blah 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 blah. No, well, guess what, that's not called selling out, that's called buying in, and I promise you it's a thing, and it's necessary. So at the end of the day, my songwriting has evolved into just being in the moment. And whatever hits me in the moment, now I can go spark a song, I can go do that. But trying to spark something, it's not going to be the same as something that hits me like a ton of bricks. If it hits me and I'm feeling something and I want to say something about what I'm feeling, that's when that's when I bring something to the table that's a little more poignant than just a commercial. Hey, let's go drink a beer on the back of the truck.
I will say this. Now, I met Shannon at last year's Hero Stock in September, and he walked up to me with, "Hey, I got some lyrics I want you to read." Very much, I thought was in the moment. It's like, okay, sure, let me take a look at what you've got written here, which was absolutely wonderful just to see someone else's writings. And as I read each line, truly it was in the moment to say, you know what, I can see what you're writing about and how relatable it was. And I don't know, I mean, it didn't look like you gave it a whole lot of thought when you wrote it
No,
down. It was all
literally,
on,
what I showed
it's all
you,
right
lean
there.
in.
Yeah.
Listen, and lean in. What I've got of lean in happened in less than 5 minutes on a road trip
There you
across
go.
the country,
Yeah.
from freaking Kansas City to New York. And I mean, it literally happened in like 5 minutes. Kid looked at me and he goes, you know what, Doc? He goes, you should write a song called Lean In. And I just said, okay. I said, I'll tell you what, why don't you tell me what lean in means to you? Now, keep in mind, we're on a baseball tour with the War Dogs baseball group, and I'm the entertainer. But we're traveling across the country, and I'm playing at these baseball games and doing all this stuff and whatever. Anyway, we're on the road, and it's just him and I in the truck, and we're just driving from, I want to say we were in Cleveland, and we were on our way to New York. And he just looks at me, he goes, you gotta write a song about lean in. And he talks to me about what leaning in as a baseball player means and what it means metaphorically as a human being. And I was like, I kind of like this, man, because you know how everybody in here knows how to play baseball-ish, right? We all know what crowding the plate means, right? Like, we get a little closer to the plate so it's harder for the pitcher to get in the box, right? So that's what leaning into anything means. Leaning into songwriting, leaning into firefighting, leaning into freaking retirement, leaning into songwriting, leaning into music production, leaning into anything that you're doing. So that's what that was. And the song came out, and
It's so relatable.
5 minutes.
When I read it. Yeah. Yeah.
5 minutes.
So here just I want to get to Derek here in a second here. The process that we were reviewing last week, where we had talked loosely about from writing lyrics, coming up with a melody, a chord progression, and the rhythm and groove. I will tell you, so it sounds like to me, I don't know, the idea obviously was created first with lyrics, is what it sounds like with what you were sharing with me.
Yes.
And I'm going to go to Derek now. And Derek, I know that you've been working on Lighthouse lately, and that was a song that we opened up Song Sung True with. It was just a very raw version of that. Can you speak to the process that, if you can remember, because I know that may have been a little while back, but what comes to mind when it came to putting that song together initially?
I mean, that was a whole lot of just like, I was depressed as all hell at the time. And it was, I mean, that's how I felt. It was just, I'm drowning. So I ended up I just wanted to find a sad tone of like, here's chord progression that's kind of sad, not making you want to kill yourself sad, but sad, and then
But really, really close.
yeah, but yeah, really, really close. Then from there, it was just like, okay, like I know in my head how I want to go about this. Like I know a rough idea of the like words that I want to put on there, and then it just became sitting down and here's where we're going with it. And when you cumulatively look at it, it's not like this was something that happened overnight. It was 3 years of looking back at like how I had felt over those 3 years, because shit really went downhill. Like when I got to Arizona, everything was like golden and it was good. By the time I left Arizona, I was at rock bottom.
Mhm.
So it was looking back to that, and then those next, 2-3 years of trying to rebound and get out of where I was. And so it was looking at all those experiences, change after change after change, and it was, well, this is how I felt when I was at the bottom, and then kind of the other side of it was, well, it's not always dark, so we need to at least make reference to that and mention to that, because one thing that I did, I had another song that I wrote, and my buddy goes, if you ever play that to me again, he said, I'm going to sewer slide myself. And I was like, so you're saying I need to make this a little bit happier? And so he's like, something. So I added another verse to it where it kind of like brought the whole thing back together. And he's like, much better. He goes, at least now I see there's light at the end of the tunnel, as opposed to it's just dark. So it's one of those things that, it's just kind of like a learning thing where for me, you can be super depressing, but you should probably give a little bit of hope in there and remember that it's not all bad.
Is he raising his hand? Is that raising your hand?
This is the best thing ever. Yes, Shannon.
So, and for all you in the room watching, that doesn't happen very often. I just kind of take over. Not trying to be an asshole. It just happens. But to speak to that, every song has what's called a reprisal. All right, maybe not every song, but most songs have what's called a reprisal. And what the reprisal is the hope sprinkled in at the end.
Right.
Okay? We can talk about all kinds of dark shit. And it's okay to talk about it, and it should be talked about. But you should always give a solution at the end. Because if you don't,
Exactly.
you're just going to drive people into a hole.
Yeah.
That is very important to remember.
Yeah, and that's what I learned from that was like, you have to have that.
Right. The reprisal is basically, and it all it is just the other side of where you're sitting in that pain, or that, like, I want somebody help me. Like, for instance, somebody help me save my sanity. Right?
Right.
So I'm asking for help. That's the reprisal in a song. That's me asking for help. Somebody help me save my sanity. So I have a song called My Sanity, and it's about kind of feeling lost and not, like, coming back from combat and being like, I don't know what to do with my hands, Ricky. Right. If you ain't chewing Wrigley Spearmint gum, you ain't, if you ain't chewing Big Red, then fuck you. Like,
I'll tell you what, because what you guys are talking about right now, and for those of you who are following Andrea's guide, it is lesson 7, which is part of today's discussion. And one of the templates that she talks about is using, like, all right, maybe the theme is a problem and maybe resolution.
Right.
So basically, to make the song interesting, just as Derek and Shannon are talking about, go ahead and pose the problem. But if you got that solution in there, people are going to be waiting for that.
Oh, absolutely. It's like an Easter egg in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, don't do what I did that first time I wrote the one when that he was like, I'll kill myself. It was because I think I killed myself at the end of that song. I was like, mate, what if I did the opposite of that this time? Like, I got rid of that one.
So I'm going to say this real quick, please. I'm sorry, Tom. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I do want to say this real quick. Music literally will control the human body. It's a fact. So
There's a
whatever
reason
you
why
put
they
out,
feel, yeah.
whatever you put out is what people are going to receive. Just remember that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I changed it up. It was one of those things where it's just like I got it out for
And there's
myself.
things that listen, there are things that I've written that people will never hear.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of stuff I wrote.
There's a lot of stuff that I've written that's so vile from combat or childhood even that you'll never hear because I don't want to ever have it. I wrote that to get it off my chest.
Yeah, there's a lot.
And there's a lot to be said about that too. It's kind of like, there are songs that I've written. It's kind of like, I think I'm keeping this one to just a small circle of individuals or to myself or whatever. That's your prerogative as a songwriter, right? Again, know who your audience is. If you're writing something to be cathartic just for yourself, go for it. That's totally, it's totally acceptable. There's no rule around that other than what you make of it. Okay, so listen, here's what I want to do. I want to kind of toss this back to the group here and ask has anyone done the homework assignment that they would like to share? Maybe the homework assignment, maybe the process itself. What are you thinking your process might be? I mean, we've got a couple of good examples, and I'm going to start. I will start because the show opened with a song that I wrote about 8-9 years ago, 5 gallons at a time. And I will tell you, you've got the lyrics, you've got the melody, you've got the chord progression, and you've got the rhythm and groove on that. And I'll tell you, the influence for me for that particular song was a video that I saw of Billy Gibbons of ZZ Top, Derek Trucks, and just a whole bunch of other musicians. But those two stood out, and I just thought to myself, I would love to write a song that has that same feel and energy, and why not put that towards a ride on my motorcycle? So I kind of tried to bring the three together. So it was really rhythm and groove that started for me first, and then followed by kind of like a chord progression. And then after that, it was, all right, I think I'll write some lyrics now that I've got some ideas to what I want to write about. And then followed by the melody itself. So, got that rhythm and groove. I was actually kind of surprised, that was the first thing. But I'm finding, you know what? I like having that the driving drum beat or the percussion train from the last week, kind of start things off for me before I get into writing. So anyway, let's see. If you have something you want to share on your process, go ahead and Ken, go ahead. Why don't you go ahead and start? What's your process?
Yeah. So, songwriter, or storyteller. Every song that I've written so far has been a story. I wrote one about my wife, blonde hair, blue-eyed firecracker. Blonde hair, blue-eyed firecracker. She is. We were coming back from a party, and she'd been harassing me about riding my tractor and doing a lot of farm work on my tractor. And she'd just been harassing me the whole day. So I was like, "You're being a real firecracker." And I sat down in the car and I looked at her and I was like, "You're a blonde hair, blue-eyed firecracker."
Some tells me that that's like a metaphor for something else.
No, she's just feisty. Yeah, she gets feisty, and she's like a firecracker. You light her up, you set her off, and
Right. It's
But
obviously,
yes. But so I told her, I was like, "Yeah, you're my blonde hair, blue-eyed firecracker." And then the tractor thing popped in my head, and I was like, your body turns me on like my Case tractor, because in that moment she hated that tractor. And I just wanted to drive that point a little bit home to her. So then that song kind of wrote itself. And then this last one we wrote, it was a story about that World War II vet that I got off the news. And I mean, it pretty much wrote itself, but it's all stories. I like telling stories. Wrote another song about mine and her life. We dated in high school. Her dad set me down and told me that I wasn't worthy enough to be his daughter, and he had picked somebody else out for her, and that if I loved her, I'd let her go, and I did. And now, 20 years later, we're married, and living the life we should have been living 20 years ago. Prior to that, but,
So, Ken, are you thinking then that it's basically when you
songs and stories?
Yeah. So with the lyrics, are they
lyrics first?
that are written?
Yeah. So So I'll start writing the lyrics, and like with the other song, I had the chorus done first,
Hmm.
and then the melody kind of fell into that whenever I had the chorus, and then I was able to write the verses after that with that melody from the chorus. Um, so it all kind of went together that way, and that's typically how it is. I'll have the melody because I'm not great with the guitar. I only graduated last year,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
I have the melodies in my head, and I can sing it better than I can play it.
Well, we're good. I mean, if lyric writing is your strongest suit, and this comes up in Andrea's lessons, go with your strengths.
Right.
If you want to change things up a little bit, try maybe coming up with a melody and then putting lyrics into that
Hmm.
melody
Hmm.
itself, and then
Absolutely.
yeah.
Can
Yeah,
I
and
throw
something I've
my?
been
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
okay,
Go ahead, kid.
something I've been trying to do is using backing tracks, getting them offline, and then trying to put words to those. And I know I brought that up a while ago, but it's been a real good tool and really helped me with my lyric writing, as well as songwriting. Using different other people's melodies,
Mhm.
because I'm not that great at it. So go ahead,
Oh,
John.
Well,
Sorry.
so you asked me earlier what my method was, and I see what you're looking for, and that's what I was trying to tell you earlier. Like all of these things, the thing like Derek, how Derek writes songs, how Ken writes songs, how you write songs. I do all of that. I do all of that. It just to me, I just wait for a muse because when the muse hits me, and it really doesn't matter how it hits. Sometimes it'll hit a lyric. Sometimes it'll hit a chord progression. Sometimes I'll be listening to a song, I'll be like, you know what? What if they did this? And I change that, and I play with it, and I jack around with it, and then all of a sudden there's a song and an emotion with that chord or that chord progression, and so I start creating. So here's the deal: like you guys are all brand new at this, not all of you, but most of you, most of the people in here are brand new at this, and the reality is, if you put a bunch of rules on it, you're gonna get tired of it. So don't put any rules on it. I mean, go like utilize the things that are gonna make things better, but experiment. Experiment. That's what music is. You got 12 notes, man. You got 12 notes and all kinds of octaves. Play with those 12 notes. Might even sound like a song you heard before, but at the end of the day, you make it yours. That's the bigger picture.
go. Are we covering rules again for the second time in this? Did rules come up earlier? Because it was basically, well, yeah, toss these. Oh, we're playing by Shannon's rules. That's what it was. And that's a good rule. That's a good rule. Or should I take that back now that you've given me that?
No, like I don't think that that's my rule. I think like
Uh,
I hear that from everybody.
no,
Like
no, this is
and we
great advice.
talk, you got to realize, like I talk to executives and stuff. Like Joe West told me the same thing. Joe West, Grammy Award winning songwriter, singer songwriter, and freaking engineer. Dude looks at me and he goes, "Is this going to be commercial or is that for you?" And I'm like, "What?" Yes. Like, and my answer was yes. I want it to be both. He's like, no, it's not how this works.
Yeah,
So,
they're a different set of rules,
right,
obviously. But I think
right.
that
But what I'm trying to get at is that when I'm writing songs, the less rules that I apply to what I'm writing,
uh
the more experimenting I can do, the cooler things get.
and to add to what you're saying is that it expresses your individuality as well too. Why do you
Exactly.
want to be like someone else when you need to be you, right?
I'll
You
be honest with you.
you.
If you cover my song, I don't want to hear it the way I played it.
Oh,
I don't,
well,
because I'm
first
tired
you
of
got to
hearing it
teach us.
myself.
I still want to learn how to play Dear Mom. But
Well, I'll
hey,
teach
we
you
got a
that.
question. We have a question. Hold on, Shannon,
Go
because
ahead.
we've got John, who has been a long time supporter of the Songwriters Bootcamp and what we're doing for songwriting, and has even written songs as well too. He's aspiring. He's got questions. So go ahead, John.
Yeah, Shannon, Derek, I appreciate you both being here and helping us out with us today, and giving us your insight and your history of what you've done. Um, I've just been learning to play guitar. I graduated just a year ago from G4V here, and I've taken a couple of courses now with the songwriting and some music theory thing. Just staying with it, and really, my wife got me into this. In short story, um, she passed. We were resuscitated her, and that's when shortly after that's when I wrote my first song, which nobody's heard yet. Tom had I read it to Tom, but um, and I haven't finished it yet. I haven't put music with it yet. That's work. My second song is more refined. I wrote that during taking Andrea's class last time, and but my songs are solemn because my they're about my wife, about our issues that we dealt with after February 12th of last year.
Sure.
Um, and I listening to what we've done in the classes so far, write what you know. Okay, that's where that came from.
Sure.
But then I thought to myself at 3:30 a.m. in the morning one morning when I woke up, and I thought to myself, I got to do something different than just the solemn, sad song, and that even has a positive at the end. They're positive at the end, bringing that back in as you're stated.
Right.
But I turned around and I wrote a funny song about golfing at 3:30 in the morning in less than a half an hour, and I wrote it, and I'm a lyrics person first so far, what I'm figuring myself out at. But then the Sound of Silence music is what I base the song on, and so it's really kind of comical, but it's fun at the same time of positive and trying to change that up and not get stuck in a rut. And how do you keep from getting with your combat experience? I'm being one well here, so with your combat experience and stuff. How do you get away from your songs that you don't write for other people to hear? How do you get away from that? Not necessarily in a rut, but that, Derek, you guys, how do you get away from being stuck in that
Derek,
solemn?
you take that first.
Yeah,
Derek, you want to take that first? You want me?
Yeah, I know on my part, I did that for a good beginning part of how much I was writing. Excuse me, I turned my headphones down. A lot of when I first started writing was I'm stuck in this rut and that's what I'm gonna do, and it's kind of been a general approach, changing the approach of how I do life in general. It was I gotta quit living in the past. Uh, like if I held on to everything and somebody asked me, "What are you today?" and I said, "Well, I'm just a Marine. Did this. I'm a veteran, and that's all I am." I'm not giving myself any credit for who I am today and everything that I've been doing today. So it just doesn't do me. I had to learn that, as much as that past is a part of who I am, I get to write that, put that song out there for that, and then from there, it's just part of letting go. It's kind of like the proverbial, "Hey, this happened in my life. Now I'm gonna light it on fire and let it float away in the wind," kind of thing for me. So it just took a little bit of time to really realize that I can't be stuck in the past. I just have to start slowly moving forward and progressing because I'm a new man today and I'm a better man today than I was yesterday.
Shannon?
That's a great answer, Derek. I think that, and it's a great question, John. Thank you for asking that question. Me personally, and I kind of feel the same way that Derek does, but I think that, so my last tour of combat was in 2004 in Fallujah. Yes, before it was a college town, because we made it a college town. That being said, so, I'm sorry, I had to say that. It was ting ting, ringing my own bell. Anyway, so all of that stuff, when I came home from Fallujah, so I'll give you a little heads up. What happened? I came home from Fallujah in 2004. I'd been writing music here and there a lot, but it was mostly about breakups. It was about, alcohol. It was about all that stuff. And then I came home from Fallujah after being in Anazaria during OIF1. Like I was in two of the worst battles in Iraq. Both of the worst battles in Iraq. And so, you know, it brought a lot of garbage to the box. And I had to get rid of it. And I'll tell you, for me, John, it was trial by fire, brother. Like I literally would go, like I would create this shit. And when I say angry, I mean my music was violent. You could take Tool and Stained and melt them together, and they're still not hard enough for what I was putting out. And that's no joke. Like I wrote a song called WTF. And it literally is about why is it that you're so much better than me because you outrank me. That's all that song was about. Right? But I don't play that very often. However, I probably should because I wrote it not necessarily about the military because I say this all the time. Don't write about the Humvee riding down the road. Don't write about the Humvee riding down the road. Make it a metaphor for something else. Use a metaphor to cover that so that everybody gets a piece of that apple. Does that make sense? And you just, and to be honest with you, what really has helped me the most, John, and for everybody in here, as a combat veteran, what's helped me the most? Therapy, bro. True story. Working on me, getting my shit straight. Like all that joking aside, that has been the best thing I've done for me.
Thank you.
That's awesome, Joe Biden.
Absolutely, John. Thank you.
Hey, Michael Diaz, would you unmute for a moment here? I'm sorry if we kind of brushed over your comment, but I want to make sure that that you got the answer or response from your post here. How's it going? How's it going with songwriting with you?
It's going. One thing I find myself, it's not so much just lyrics because I kind of just write stuff down, but in the back of my head, it's all the darker songs that I listen to that I want to put words to something similar, not the same thing, but that's kind of like where I'm at. And I know I'm still learning the guitar. I'm only like week 2 of Guitars for Vets, but between that and it's just not guitar only because I've heard so many awesome songs that are just like the low registers on a piano. It's just like I'm drawn to that, and I'm just trying to put words, my feelings into words, and my words to that style or that darkness. And then the style's eclectic because I'm between country and rock and everything in between. So
The writing of the lyrics, the idea of even getting, the lyrics down, really for some, and maybe not for all, starts really with that freestyle writing. So Michael, if it's like taking, getting ready to write those lyrics, do you have all of those thoughts kind of sketched out?
Absolutely.
Organize those thoughts and then pull from that free writing into like, I'll be selective. This is what I want to include. This is what I'll exclude because I don't think it really contributes to the message that I want in my story. So hopefully, and this is something that comes up in Andrea's book is like, if you can set aside 10, 15 minutes a day, and for me, it's first thing in the morning, and just scratching down my mind is clear in the morning, cup of coffee, and this is very cool. And then the day starts to clutter up. But if you're doing that, you stand a better chance of having more information to pull those lyrics from with all that freestyle writing. So hopefully that helps.
yeah, that's actually interesting because earlier today I was actually doing that. I was like, I had some thoughts written down, and then it was like I had some other thoughts written down that might apply, and then I started looking back. It's like, okay, so I'm just trying to intertwine those.
Excellent. Hopefully that helps. Let me see, what time is it? It's about 7 minutes after the top of the hour here, 11 o'clock Pacific. Let me make sure that we've touched a little bit on chapter 5, which is writing with your senses. I just want to go back and let everyone know that we did have that poll um, showing up with about, I think about 10 people who basically responded as to, what really is writing with your senses. And of course, it's taste, touch, smell, feel, hear, and the whole idea of movement and incorporating that into your storytelling and into your songwriting. I was hoping in the song that I shared at the very beginning of the show that you got to feel, the wind in your face, the sun, out there, and then riding in, the open road and feeling like, okay, this is what I feel like when I'm riding on the back of my motorcycle. But what about for you? I mean, everyone else is kind of like, are you trying to make a relationship between these different senses when you do your freestyle writing? And can that carry over into a song? And Derek, I'm going to go there. Hey, Derek, can you hear me okay? I want to go to you and Shannon and talk about any of the songs that you've done where you may have incorporated some of the sensory uh, writing in the styles of your songs.
Oh yeah, I have a
Any,
song called "I Need to Breathe."
what do you recall from that song that really kind of makes people feel their way through that song when they listen to it?
The panic attack that I was having when I wrote it.
Yeah, it's very real. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and it's and you know what's really funny is like it's not a really hard song, but
Huh?
and this is the feeling that started. Hold on. This is the feeling that I was feeling when this song started. And that was the chaos that was in my head.
Yeah. Nice lead in.
That's where the song came from.
Can you tell a little bit about the lyrics? Can you share some of the lyrics with us?
Oh,
Just
absolutely.
yeah.
Well, I mean, I'll play the song if you want me to.
I was just gonna say go with the lyrics, but if you want to play it, go for it.
Yeah,
I'll
play it.
play. I'll
Play
play
it.
the first verse and first chorus. How's that sound?
Okay, all right, go for it.
It's so easy for you to sit there. I can't help but think you have nothing to fear. Everything I've done has been done in vain because you're the one that's caused all of my pain. 'Cause I need to breathe just for one day, and I need to breathe. And I've got to get away. I can't deal with this, 'cause it makes me miss my soul. Maybe if I confess, I can lay it to rest and let it all go.
There you go. So from that, in your own and everyone else here who is doing an assignment on sensory writing, incorporate putting those feelings into your writing and work that into your lyrics, and you'll come out with the song that you definitely can feel the tension in that in the
You know what the second verse starts out like? The second line, the second verse, the first line of the second verse is, I can't sleep at night. I have horrible dreams. And all these things inside are ripping me apart at the seams. And I can't help but think that this will never end. When will I feel my heart? And where does peace begin?
visual. And you can certainly feel that when you play that and performed it for us. Thank you. Thank you for doing that, Shannon.
Absolutely.
All right. Derek, I'm going to bring you back on screen here. Oh, hang on. Why don't you go ahead and give everyone a writing assignment right now?
No, you can't, Ken.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do that. I would like this group, and Derek, get ready because you're going to go ahead and fire up your guitar here in just a moment here.
Hey.
We're going to go ahead and just get some samples of sensory writing. All right. 2 lines. Just come up with a couple of different examples that you can share with this group for sensory writing. And then we'll go ahead and talk about it. But Derek, hey, why don't we give you an opportunity to go ahead and share one of the songs that you've done?
In every corner will I find darkness, and I'm not sure where it goes. This life is full of hardness, and it seems it always shows. I'm not quite sure how I can make it anymore. Does it matter if I make it to the shore? I am lost at sea, and now I'm stuck here drowning. And though the light has burned down 80 years ago, and though I keep on searching for ways to keep on grounded, I guess it doesn't matter if you learn to let it go. And on the other side there is brightness, and the weight of what's been told. In this world that's gone so crazy, find someone that you can hold. Can I find a way to make it all make sense? And with the rush of the waters, will it always be intense? Well, I am lost at sea, and now I'm stuck here drowning. Oh, the light has burned down 80 years ago. Though I keep on searching for ways to keep on grounded, I guess it doesn't matter if you learn to let it go. Well, I am lost at sea, and now I'm stuck here drowning. Oh, the light has burned down 80 years ago. And though I keep on searching for ways to keep on grounded, I guess it doesn't matter if you learn to let it go. I know it doesn't matter if you learn to let it go.
You guys. You should have done that at Hero Stock last year. Maybe this year.
Isn't like me.
Yeah.
Love you.
Yeah, I know. I can tell right there with that was beautiful. Really, really. And Derek, you know what? I know I shared that recording that you did. Maybe that was from 3 years ago. Man, that song. Love that.
We still need to work on that freaking piece in between with the choruses and the freaking.
That's why I'm excited to. So I've got my buddy here, and he did like a kind of like that bridge.
that whole extra chords like strumming. We need to get rid of that.
Yeah, I usually do. I just
Oh boy.
it was kind of a tempo thing because I haven't played it in a minute.
with stuff this is gonna be a revisit from like yesterday's pre-show. So you guys, we could do this all day long. And guess, I mean, everyone, I guess what you're seeing here right now is that songwriting process, the collaboration that goes on, and it's great fun. So you stick with songwriting, everyone. And what I want to do right now, I want to go to the group and find out what's some of the samples of, sensory writing might be. So let me go ahead and get everyone back on screen here. There was a poll that I started off with earlier this week. Nibbling on sponge cake, watching the sun bake, all of the tours covered with oil. And there were some people who said, yeah, there's sensory writing in those lyrics. And why is
Sounds
that?
like a porno.
That too. Wasn't it?
I didn't mean to say that out loud. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, you did. You did.
I did.
I mean, stuff like that. It's like, all right, you're drawing images, right? Using senses. So who wants to go first and share? Wants to go first. All right, Ken, go for it. Why don't you share some of the samples that you've created here for sensory writing? Oh, are you able to?
Yeah. So there we go. So I wrote in the chat, woke to the smell of gunpowder and iron, jumped to my feet and headed to the sound of people dying. Not knowing what I'd see when I got there, ran into the fire without a care.
Yeah, good job. Good job. Okay, thank you for sharing that. Listen, I want to I also noticed John Hampton, J Muck. I know you guys posted some things as well too. Do you have by any chance do you have that? Do you want to read your samples out loud?
That'll be fine. Yeah.
Go ahead, John.
I had a couple that I did sensory writing to try to get everything together, and standing on the forecastle of a ship, seeing anchor detail heading over the bar, the rise and fall of the ship as it gently rolls from side to side, the smell of JP5 fuel burning from the stacks, the salt air sticks to you as well as the ocean mist. The taste of strong coffee sipped through a paper cup. The morning sun reflects off the blue, vast water and the skies. The sound of the bow cutting through the water of the sea like a knife. That's one of them, and then the other one was the 3:30 in the morning one, and again off of music. And normally I have never looked at music first, and I've never tried to put it with somebody else's music, but it starts with "Hello Golf, my old friend. I've come to play with you again. I swing but don't make contact. I see the ball is still on the tee. The sound of wishing is still lingers as the club slides through my fingers. Now I see in my future and the flashing lights of the marshal, coming to put my picture on the wall of shame. And at the 19th tee, we'll all do the same. And it still remains the sound of sorrow. And tomorrow, and we'll all try again tomorrow.
That's awesome.
And that's where I tried to change from my other two songs that I've written, which were more solemn, and this is more of the comical, having fun with it. And so trying to change that up was kind of cool.
That's definitely a different approach to writing than the first two songs that you shared with me.
Oh, definitely,
which is awesome. Which I knew Shannon was going to be impressed immediately. So
John is either a quartermaster or a bosun mate.
BM1.
Oh, how did I know that shit?
All right.
Yeah, BM1, but my NEC is BM0162. Small boat river.
It makes you feel any better. I actually have my bosun mate of the watch done, just so you know.
There you go, brother.
So, but no, that was and I loved that bridge wing piece. That was amazing. I felt every piece of that because I've stood on that bridge wing.
There you go, brother.
On that bridge wing, and I've watched that bow crash in freaking sea stays of 8 and 10.
It ain't pretty.
No, absolutely not. When you're in the Barren Sea and it's cold as shit, and you're just up there freaking freezing your balls off because you've got freaking bow watch, it sucks. But that was awesome, and I want to say this to everybody in here: what John has done is, and he said this earlier, he takes older songs and just kind of takes the lyrics out of them and makes lyrics to them. That's a great way to practice. What I will tell you is don't get comfortable there.
Right. No, I agree.
That is how you'll get in trouble later down the road.
Well, that's actually the only one I've done that with. The
But
others,
I think it was a great idea, though, John. I think it was amazing.
okay.
And the golf thing, bro.
Oh God, aren't you going to a golf tournament, Shannon?
I am playing in a golf tournament.
Right, what you know, I've missed the ball on the tee before. Trust me.
I have a golf tournament in Wisconsin in like 3 weeks, so you need to finish that and get it to me so I can go play it up there.
Okay, let's move on because there are some others. Jay, you've got some. Michael, I know that you posted as well. You want to share yours, Jay, and then let's talk about it.
Okay. This is one that I started working on when my cousin, who also had PTSD, died. But I don't know if I can get through it or not. It's a long ride on the demon train. Wondering how will it end? Saw the obit yesterday. Lost another friend.
Breathe, brother. Just breathe.
Some jump off at the big ass bend when they couldn't take no more. We all carry that damn baggage until we go through that door. Some hope train will jump the tracks and take us all at once. They try so hard to help us. For some that don't do no good. Not allowed to own a gun. Might use it to get off the train. One shot, kill the demons. Or suicide by cop. I don't know. Anyway, that's just one of them I was working on.
That's Jay, that's awesome, man. I felt that. I have felt those feelings before. Yeah, facts. There's nothing wrong with you writing stuff like that just to get it out of your chest, man. Sometimes I just have to crack my ribcage open just to let some shit out. And if I don't, it'll kill me. But when this is over, I'm gonna play everybody one song, and it's called Not Alone. And I want you all to hear it, and I want you to listen to the words to it, because you're not alone, no matter where you're standing right now. I just want you all to know that. And I think that's amazing, Jay. Thank you for sharing that with us, bro.
Thank you, Jay.
Absolutely powerful. I love it. I mean, like Shan said, you just got to get it out sometimes. You know, I think all of us do that. Sometimes you're getting it out because you have to. I mean, you can't hold stuff in. So I love it.
Oh yeah.
Michael, I know you posted something on CavArts as well too. Would you like to share what it is that you wrote, or maybe something different?
Well, the one I wrote was the blue skies have turned to black. The stinging smell of oil fires pierced my lungs. Day has turned to night as we continue to expect a fight. Amtrak rolling through the desert sand. Up ahead, the objective stands. And then I came up with another one that was,
Okay.
He's found a quiet place amongst the poplars and pines. His mind looks back to that day that his company cried. Rice paddies and hills, and a dreadful sight, black smoke rising. There's no way to say goodbye. That's off a personal experience out in Korea.
All right.
Mike, I'd like to tell you something about that, man. Like, I think that you truly are a poet, and I think you're a spoken word kind of guy, man. And I think that you can take that spoken word, and if you take that spoken word and you just kind of sit and you listen to some music with it and try to just say your poems,
Mm-hmm.
I think you're eventually going to start hearing the melody. And eventually you can start removing words that don't belong in that melody.
Yeah.
And then you can start thinning it out and fleshing it out. When you start doing that, putting chord progressions to it, and then you're going to have a song that's going to sing to your heart. And when it
Mhm.
sinks to your heart, then you're going to chase it. When you chase it, you might just find what you're looking for.
Yeah, I've in my head I think of finger picking with it. I haven't gotten
Sure,
that far yet. With finger
sure.
picking and then also kind of like dark blues.
Something like,
That's wonderful. Yeah.
something like that. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
But I get it. That's my point. So if you start listening to stuff, or you just kind of start listening to your words, the lyrics that you create,
Hmm.
it'll give you a melody because you're using. Listen, everybody knows what a pentameter is, right? Do we all know what pentameters are, or like rhyme schemes, like
Yeah.
iambic pentameter, blah, all these things that we used to learn in English back in the day when we had to actually learn. Um, so it has a rhythm. So if you listen to that rhythm, there's a melody that's connected to it inside of your soul. You just have to find it and figure out how to create it. And once you do that, you've unlocked songwriting. And that goes for everybody in here.
No.
Once you do that, you've unlocked it all.
We're quickly putting the tools into your toolkit to do that. We're trying to
Right.
get you on that journey. So
Thanks,
uh,
Shannon.
thank you guys.
Oh,
We're coming up, and I want to get Shannon to perform that song that he wants to do. But listen, in retrospect, and everything that we've talked about, let me just kind of go through the agenda that we had through. We talked a little bit about matching up music with lyrics and how do you figure that out. And it's basically just like what Shannon's showing right now. Let's try finger picking. And it's just really experimenting with music and lyrics, and not getting too deep into the syllables and things like that. But did you say a pentameter? Is that what it is?
well, yeah, pentameter is it's a rhyme scheme.
It's a rhyme,
So
but it's also,
yeah,
you also have, there is that rhythmic piece to it, right?
right. So an iambic pentameter is just a rhyme scheme that you utilize that we all learned in English to learn
Yeah.
how to write poems, and poems basically translate into songs if you just let them speak to you.
And you know what? It happens at the weirdest times.
Yes,
You put too much thought into it. It's like maybe you're thinking too hard. Maybe
that's
just
a
like
fact.
let it flow.
I'll
Feel
be
good.
honest with you. If I start thinking too hard about a song, I have to set it down. I
Yeah.
have to,
Yeah.
because I'm gonna nuke it. I will nuke it.
I want to go back to what Michael had said as well too. It's like I'm not sure how I want to approach this song. Maybe blues or maybe fingerstyle or whatever. But that's what that whole experimentation that Shannon was talking about earlier. It's like, you know what? There's so many tools that you can use to try and approach that. It's just a matter of, messing around with it and playing around and trying to see what might fit and what doesn't. And then, yeah, hopefully you'll find that combination. We didn't go too deep in that musically. That's going to be the second part of Songwriters Bootcamp. But lyrically, come up with your lyrics, and then let's see if during the musical portion of the boot camp we can start to kind of give you some options to look at. Writing with your senses, we had great examples here, and thank you all for sharing them. Keep that in mind as you proceed with writing your freestyle writing, and maybe starting to put your lyrics together. Let's see. We also setting the scene, and I know in a lot of what we were talking about, we didn't really specifically focus on that, but in a lot of the things that I heard people reading back, they did set a scene. It was very vivid in how the song started or the story that they were sharing, how it started, and that was chapter 6. Getting that scene set up, get to know where the characters or who the character is and what environment are you setting them up in so we can follow that story along. We didn't really talk too much about vantage point, and maybe we can do that the next time around. There are different couple of different templates. Once you set up the scene of your story, then it's coming down to either, we talked about the problem and solution. Shannon had brought that up earlier too. If you've got the problem, and Derek had mentioned this too, here's the problem. But if you have that solution piece at the end, that's what people are going to be hungry for. They're going to be waiting for that. The other template is past, present, and future, present, past, and future. Here's where the story begins today. Here's what got us here, and here's where I'm taking you. And that's another one of the templates. And that one was in chapter 7. So those are some of the things we talked about, and we had some really great input and guidance from both Shannon and Derek. And I want to thank you both for joining us. Ken, thank you again for kind of adding really your perspective, because you did help us get through the primer, and I want to make sure that the questions are asked from the students' perspective, from everyone else who is here. And hopefully everyone got in some questions. And if I didn't get to your question in the chat, maybe I can talk to Shannon and Derek about sticking around a few minutes after we end up the session here for some closing comments and thoughts. So anyway, with that said, Shannon, why don't you close us out, and we'll come back one last time.
All right. So this song's called Not Alone. And this song woke me up. And this is probably one of those moments where I tell you that I know God's real, because I feel like God was waking me up to write this song, not for me to write the song, but for him to write the song through me. This woke me up in a hangover after a road tour, because we'd been on road for like a month and a half, 2 months. And we got back and we partied that night, and I woke up in the studio at like 4 o'clock in the morning, and this song was developed. And so this song is called Not Alone, and it's got 3 people talking to one person. And see if you can tell me who these 3 people are. He sits on his bed with his gun in his hand. He thinks his life is over. Can't understand. There's a bottle of whiskey and some pills in the drawer. Doesn't want to hurt himself, can't hurt anymore. Why must it be this way? Just think it all over and listen to the words that I say. You are not alone. There are so many people who fight with their demons each day. And you are not alone. So take my hand, brother, let's beat this together today. You're not alone. She picks up the clothes that fall loose on the floor, finds a crumpled letter just behind the door, begins to read it with tears in her eyes. A horrible feeling takes over inside. Honey, can I talk to you? There has to be something that we can do. 'Cause you are not alone. There are so many people who fight with their demons each day. Yeah, yeah. And you are not alone. So take my hand, baby, let's beat this together too. fight with their demons each day. Yeah, yeah. And you are not alone. So take my hand, son, let's beat this together today. You're not alone. You're not alone. You're not alone. He sits on his bed with his gun in his hand, but he puts it away, 'cause now he understands.
Way to go, Shannon. Awesome. Just awesome.
Such an amazing song.
What did you say?
Such an amazing,
Amazing
song. Yeah.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Let's bring us up. Hey, all right. So listen, what a thrill to have you both join me in the group here for Songwriters Bootcamp. I hope everyone here has picked up a few pointers to follow in your songwriting journey, because these gentlemen have definitely provided some really great information. You guys can stick around for Q&A, right? I mean, we're going to go ahead and as soon as we're done here, we're going to go ahead and invite the guests here to kind of pick your brain just a little more, just a little longer, because there are a whole bunch of things that have been posted on the chat feature, but we just ran out of time. So if you don't mind, stick around. And I want to let everyone know that next week, session 3 for lyric writing, we're going to run through chapters 8 through 10. Derek is coming back. Jack Blaze, a singer-songwriter who's now based in Texas, is also going to be joining us as well, too. So once again, Shannon, thanks. Derek, any closing thoughts, Shannon, before we end the program here?
Yeah, I think my closing thoughts are that music can do anything for you. Music can kill you. But if you foster it right and you do the things that you need to do for yourself, and you do it with the proper moral compass, things can get really good with the music. And I think that lyrically speaking, I think that the more you do with more people, the more you do with more people, the better off you are, because you're not just in your own box. Like, remember growing up and we were all in a playground, we all played together and we all had to learn from each other. There's a reason we all do that. There's a reason that there's a playground at school, in elementary, so we can all interact and get to know how each of us interact with people. And so that same thing with music writing. The more people you work with music, the more you're going to learn, the more you're going to create, the more you're going to have things to pull from. So sit in a room with a bunch of people who write. Listen, that's how it works in Nashville. That's how it works in LA. That's how it works in New York. I promise you, that's how it works in Florida. That's how it works here in Texas. We all sit in rooms and we talk about writing songs, and we do it. And sometimes we bring something into the room, and sometimes we just sit there. So it doesn't matter. Just get together with a bunch of people who decide they want to start writing music. Sit down and write. What do you have to lose?
We've had some of the students here basically say, so when are we going to be starting a songwriting circle virtually? So they are already on board with collaboration, but thank you for reinforcing that.
Like, sure. I'd be happy to be a part of that too.
All right. We're going to hold you to it. We're going to hold you to it. I know Derek's already brother. This. So Derek, go ahead and tell us, are there any last words that you want to share with our aspiring songwriters?
I think Shannon pretty well nailed it, but the biggest thing is just stick with it. Enjoy the process. Don't be afraid to learn. I mean, that pretty well goes with what Shannon was saying. Get around as much of it as you possibly can. Just keep doing it. Don't give up. Stick with the process. and always enjoy it, because that's what this is all about. Is we're doing this is because this is something that we enjoy to do and we're passionate about it. So just hold on to the passion, hold on to enjoying it, and have fun with it.
It's a pretty emotional ride too, the highs and the lows. It's going to take you everywhere. Just as you saw earlier today with everyone who's contributed, they had, yeah, some very powerful stories just through words. So thank you, gentlemen. All right. Well, once again, we'll see you next week, Saturday, everyone, at the same time. And be looking on the Guitars for Vets Learning Center for more quizzes, more pop questions. And by all means, feel free to post a lot of the things that you may have questions about, or if you'd like to just share some of the content that you've created. And let's keep this conversation going.
And now for the green room party.
The green room party. But let me just say this. For Guitars for Vets, I'm Tom Lamog, and I will see you next week. Thanks again for joining us.